Welcome to Toffee TV. Now, Everton have been linked heavily with Morgan Gibbs-White in the last few days. So let's have a chat about him. Let's see what he can bring to Everton. Because for a lot of people out there, they mightn't be too aware of what kind of player he is and what kind of experience he's had in the last few seasons. So just generally, Baz, what kind of player is he?
Versatile, for a start. The word that people hate, isn't it? People like to have a player tied down to one position, but I think the thing with him is that he can play in a couple of midfield positions and also wide right. And Everton have only really got, I think we talked on another video, Everton have only really got Andros Townsend, who's naturally comfortable on the right hand side, but obviously he's still only recuperating from a knee ligament injury, and he's going to be out for some time. He's doing his rehab at the moment, so you're asking, in the current squad, you'd be asking Anthony Gordon or Damari Gray to play out there. Neither have done it with too much effect, because they both prefer, I think, to play off the other side, don't they? So I think Morgan Gibbs-White can play over on that side. He's quite good carrying the ball and stuff, but he can also play in central positions as well, off a 10 or maybe even an 8 in a midfield 3, busy in midfield. So it's, again, the profile, young, he's 22, I think, in January. He's been part of the England under-21 set-up as well, and a very, very good loan spell at Sheffield United, and obviously, worked with Kevin Thelwell before at Wolves.
Yeah. Let's just have a look at his basic numbers. Games played, 38 goals, 12 assists, 9. Big chances made, 16. And his dribbles per game, 1.3. And they're obviously his numbers last season when he was at Sheffield United, where he had a good loan spell. And if you were to base it, if you were to base it on if he was a Sheffield United player, I think that would be, I think if you were looking at those numbers and thinking, yeah, that's someone that Everton should be looking for, that's the kind of player that Everton should be going for. That's a player who is very much on the up, and is ready to take that next step. But I suppose because he is a Wolves player, I think there's been this almost like this feeling that Wolves are prepared to discard them, and we're getting somebody else's, certainly a player that not really wanted by Wolves. But Wolves are trying to get him to sign a new contract. He's been reluctant so far. Everton, as you mentioned there, want the player. Kevin Thelwell knows the player, and Everton are trying to get this deal done. And he mightn't be someone Wolves are ready to put into the first team right now, but it certainly feels like that if Everton could get him, he would be someone who would not go straight into the first team, but obviously Everton will be looking for him to get in as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably would go straight into the first team, to be honest with you. But again, depending on how they set up, we're still playing guess, aren't we? With guesswork with how Frank Lampard wants to start. I mean, we're all debating whether or not it's going to be 3 at the back. It seems like it might be like that, but who knows? And that would mean that it just depends. If they're going to play like a 3-4-3, then he will probably play off the right-hand side. And then it'd be one of Anthony Gordon or Damari Gray probably off the other side, and then you'd have Dominic Calvert-Lewin through the middle. That's just right now. We know Everton have got an interest in Armando Brozier, who's at Chelsea. If that come off, he's someone who can play through the middle or can play off the left-hand side as well. And then that again gives Everton options, but also throws up different formations as well. But he is someone who is, like I said before, he is versatile because he can cover a few positions. He's of that age, like you said. If he was just Sheffield United player coming through, people would be, I think, more enthused. Very good season, as we've already seen last season. So he is versatile, he is mobile, presses really well from the front. And these are all of the things that Frank Lampard said he wanted to bring to Everton and he wanted to build. And they're all, when you speak to people about creating a side that they want to see and they build, it's always a fast, athletic, mobile, hungry young team and all that. And Morgan Gibbs-White does fit into that, and don't forget also, you know, having worked in the under-21s, being in the under-21s, he's also worked with Lee Carsley and Ashley Cole, who's part of that. Now, obviously, Ashley Cole is part of the Everton coaching setup as well, so he's worked with him at close quarters.
Well, he's played at basically every level for England, under 16s, under 17s, under 18s, 10 times for the under 19s, 10 times for the under 21s. You know, not a lot of goals for them, but he has played at every level. Of course, he's played 66 times for Wolves, only scored one goal. Went to Swansea, played 5 times, 1 goal, and obviously last season 35 games for Sheffield United, and obviously that was his best season. So obviously there has been with improvements as he's gone along. So
I think he made his debut for Wolves when he was 16, I think.
2017 he made his debut, yes.
17, so he was only young when he made it. So
he's got experience under his belt for a player of his age, and 22. As I said, what he did for Sheffield United last season, if he was a Sheffield United player, I think people would be looking at him thinking, oh, that's one to, you know, that we should be going for.
So the new Michael Tong.
Possibly so. You know, it's hard to match the achievements of him, but I remember when like Maddison was at like Norwich and players like, I'm not saying he's the same player, but that kind of thing of like, you know, they've done well in the Championship and then it's about taking the next step. And obviously at the time we never went for Maddison because obviously we had another number 10 at the time. So you know, that one bypassed us, and we've seen a couple bypasses in the last few years. But obviously, you know, in Moyes' time, we'd always be looking for the best players coming out of the Championship. And as I said, he is a Premier League player, he's not a Championship player, but obviously he's done very well. Let's have a little look at his next numbers. So you'll have to explain this one.
Obviously people can see it on screen, but basically, the league average is the bluish colour in the middle there. That is the league average, and Morgan Gibbs-White is the colour outside of that. So shows that he performs off that graph better than other players. This is, of course, in the Championship last season, and it's shown the average age in the Championship 24. He's 22, obviously, but it's like things like his XG put him on the 86th percentile, which means that, you know, 14's in like the top 14% there. Shots 82nd percentile, and things like XG assisted 96th percentile, the top 4%. Passes into the box 98th percentile, top 2%. Pressures, you know, possession adjusted pressure, things like that. So he scores really, really highly. And another thing there, the pressures in the opponent's half, he's on the 98th percentile. Again, the top 2% for ball pressure, which, you know, you can see all the values on the right-hand side if people want to have a look at that. And whereas the Championship average is like 76%. So he is above a lot of those numbers. When you look at those numbers, if you were just literally talking Moneyball kind of thing, those numbers would stand out to you and go, this fella does what we need him to do. Now, there will always be the question, and rightly so, people will say it if the Championship, well, it's not the Premier League. So I get that. Absolutely, you've got to say that. There's no question about it. There's a difference in quality, but this is a young lad who seems to be further in his football education each year and getting better. And well, you'd hope he was, but last season was his best season. And Everton will be looking, and you'd like to think they've sat down and gone, well, how do we want to play? Frank Lampard's done an interview, it's actually quite good, on Everton TV over in America, talking about a robust, fast, mobile Everton team. That's what he wants to create. Well, those kind of numbers fit into that. We've just lost someone who pressures and in the opponent's half is really high in the Charlison. This kid is up there as well in the Championship. No, you'd have to replicate that in the Premier League, but you've got to replace what you've lost almost. And I'm not saying he would ever replace Richarlison, but he would replace some of the work Richarlison did in the final third when the opponents have got the ball. So those numbers give you a real kind of thing of where his talents lie. We've got another graphic as well, which is we'll put on as well, which again just really highlights what we're talking about there. Anyway, it's all, you know, his shooting and attacking play and all the numbers standing out, build up, creativity, things like that. And what comes out when you look at all them numbers, what comes out is that he's good at aerial duels, he's good at creating goal-scoring opportunities, scores goals, crosses, passing into the penalty area, things like that. And his style is he's busy in general build-up, takes a lot of shots, busy inside the box, plays a number of forward passes, makes a lot of progressive runs. All the stuff that, excuse me, all the stuff that when you're looking for players, you want to tick those boxes. Now, the caveat to all of that is he's not been doing that in the Premier League because he's not really been in Wolves' team, and they do have other options which they've thought of being ahead of him. It might be a managerial thing where managers have like different players. I don't know. I don't know his situation at Wolves. Obviously, they've had Nuno.
Well, of course, he had a new
Bruno
manager
Lage,
last season who didn't have him.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've had a manager there who's preferred obviously other people and who hasn't had to have them under his tutelage. So it is an interesting one from that point of view. He just might not be ready in terms because Wolves do have good players in their midfield. But for us, he might be ready to go in. And as you said there, it is things like the pressures where we need to have a far more robust midfield where it's not all about having those defensive players. It's having players in the midfield who go hunting for the ball, impacts, know how to press. And, you know, you look at a lot of talented football teams, the best ones, you look at the players and they don't necessarily strike you as defensive kind of players. I mean, the best team in the country, Manchester City, the people like Bernardo Silva and people like that, you don't have them down as like...
David Silva, he was unbelievable.
You don't have them down as being like, as doing the defensive work, but you do because of the pressures. And I'm not saying this lad is anywhere near that. I'm just saying that's the kind of play you're looking for in terms of, like, you mentioned it with Richarlison, someone who helps stop the opposition from playing from the front or in the midfield. So if that's what they're looking for and he fits in with what they're trying to do, then obviously that'll be the kind of play they want and why they're going after him by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, obviously knows Anthony Gordon from the 21s as well. Anthony Gordon, very interesting image of him and Morgan Gibbs-White on his Instagram story, and then quickly deleted it. Probably got told to take it down for now. But, you know, all of that obviously helps. Like you said, he's got the link with Ashley Cole because he's worked with him before. And some players are ready to go to other clubs, and sometimes you look at it and go, oh, well, I would have preferred this player. But we're still guessing, like we said before. We don't know the picture. We can't see the picture. All we can do is go by what Frank Lampard's saying. Look at what we've lost. Does it replace some of what we've lost? Well, if he's capable of getting 12 goals in a championship, so if you knock, like we've done before, say you knocked a third of the goals off, 8 goals. If he could get 8 goals from a wide area and 6 assists, then at least we're putting some goals into that area of the team where we've lost some. Yes, others have to score as well. But he's at a young age. We're all talking about young, hungry footballers, aren't we? Well, this kid probably fits all of those, you know, that criteria as well. So there will be others, of course there will. People will come back with names going, why aren't we going after him? Why aren't we going after Ismail Sarr at Watford? Why aren't we going after Moussa Diaby at Leverkusen? Why aren't we going after, you know, and the list will be there because people will have names of players. But we aren't Everton, are we? We're not the recruitment team. And if Everton are looking at everything, and you'd like to think they are, and if they think, well, we can get him in and we can do it this way, then that's how you build a team. And you build something that's building. And, you know, Frank Lampard could get him in, he could get Armando Brozier in, and then maybe another midfielder in as well. Then people would start to look and go, actually, you know, we've got Nathan Patterson, who looks like he may get it. Well, he's got the opportunity. You know, James Coleman's injured at the moment. All of a sudden, your age has dropped right down to younger players still. And we're going, okay, we're trying to create a team that you want to try to keep together. You tag onto that, like people like Ben Godfrey, who were already in the team. You know, Michalenko's, 22, 23. So all of a sudden, Everton have got a youthful look to them. And that's what we need, don't we? We've been too slow and immobile for years, and we need more. And I don't know how good Gibbs-White's ceiling will be, because players can develop and get better and better and better. But he had a really good season last season. He's something we haven't got. I think he can do well.
He'll be, and also after coming off the back of a good season, he'll be ready to kick on. He doesn't want to spend this season, I imagine, sitting on the bench
No.
at Wolves. He wants to kick on. He showed what he could do last season, and that might be a big factor in his decision of wanting to leave Wolves. And he might see, you know, we've seen it with players we've had. They have their opportunities blocked. You know, we've had players in the last few years where they just want to kick on, you know, and fans think they're good, but for some reason that it doesn't work with the manager at the time, and then, you know, the club says they want to keep them, but in the end they get the way and they get a move. So it's going to be interesting next few days to see what happens, whether Everton can force this one through and get it over the line and become Everton's second signing of the summer. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, if you look and we wanted a centre-back and you've got Tarkowski in, you know, we now need someone who can play a couple of positions but operates off the right-hand side, who can add goals. He might be the fella to do that. And then they're still after another striker, they're still after another midfielder. You know, they can get on with doing them and trying to get them over the line. The more you add in, I think it'll make people feel a lot better as well, that you are fresh in the squad. People will have reservations, I understand that. I'm not sat here telling you he's going to solve all our issues, because he ain't. But what we're getting, if we get him, we will be getting a young fella with a lot to prove. He's just had a great season in the Championship. Now can he come and do it in the Premier League? Can he make that step up? He's playing for a man. You know, we've got a young manager, and the crowd who were fantastic at the end of the season, and he will have seen the images. And speaking to Anthony Gordon, that makes an impression on people. Oh, I'd love to play for that set of supporters. So hopefully we'll keep that going. I think the fans will, because they were magnificent at the end of the season. And if we all do that and create something, we can build something. These are the kind of signings. I think quite a lot of supporters, when you see comments and you speak to them, are like, why aren't we going after like players in the Championship or whatever? Okay, he's at Wolves, but he's just had a really good season in the Championship, and albeit it might be a bit more money than you'd want, but that's the way it is at the moment. That's where we are.
There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Is he a player you'd like to see brought in to Everton? If not, who do you want to see in? Does Morgan Gibbs-White do it for you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want more great videos, become a Toffee TV Premier member. The link is in the description and it'll be on the screen in just a minute. See you later.